preamble that I'm required to read. So as chair of the Exeter, New Hampshire Communications Advisory Committee, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with governor's emergency order number 12, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. On Tuesday, January 5th, 2021, public notice of this meeting was posted on the town website and on the bulletin board of the town offices at 10 Front Street. As provided in that public notice, the public may access this meeting online and via phone. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote, and I'll start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, if you could please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting and who that person is. That's required under the right to know law. I can begin with myself. My name is Connor Berry. I'm here at my home office and I am alone. Martha McEntee.
I'm Martha McEntee. I'm at home and I'm alone.
Good morning, Martha.
Hi.
Lindsay Sonnet.
Good morning, Lindsay Sonnet, and I am in the room alone.
Okay, good morning, Lindsay. Nina Braun. Oh, I think you're muted, or I know you're muted.
Sorry about that. Good morning, Nina Braun, and I'm alone in the room.
Okay, great. Good morning. Bevan Kennedy.
Good morning, Bevan Kennedy, and I'm alone in the room.
Excellent. And our Exeter TV rep, Bob Glowacki.
I'm here in my house by myself.
Okay. And our select board designee, Daryl Brown.
I'm here. I'm alone.
Great. Good morning, Daryl. Good morning again to everyone. I'm glad we're all here. I trust and hope that everyone had a wonderful holiday season. I sent around, I didn't realize this was one of my responsibilities, but I was asked to create an annual report summarizing some of the work from the committee. So I did put something together. I hope that it kind of faithfully reflected everything that we've done over the past year. It's been a very challenging year, to say the least, for a variety of reasons. So submitting that report gave me the opportunity to kind of reflect back, and I just wanted to tell the committee that I'm very grateful for the very good working relationship that we all have, and I think we had a very successful year in spite of what were many obstacles. So thank you all again for that. I just wanted to give a quick update also on the interaction this committee, I guess, has been having with the Exeter Police Stakeholders Task Force. I was asked to sit in on a meeting of that task force and present reflections on our recent experience creating and publishing a survey. I just kind of gave them my thoughts and some considerations. I believe they're meeting later today to try to vote on the final content of the survey questions. And then I think they're going to be continuing to work. I'm happy to help them. I don't know if any of the other committee members would like to help them. I know Nina did a great job putting together some advertising literature for us. I don't know if you would, be available to help them. Really, though, I think it's just going to be an effort by Bob, bless him, bless his heart, who is joining us today from what I understand was a nice, long, and I'm sure well-deserved vacation. So welcome back, Bob. But I don't know how much more we can be supportive to them. Bob, if they just kind of send you the survey content and you just upload it into the Google Forms, that seemed to be easy, or you made it look easy.
Yeah, I think that's it's fairly easy. They're doing, I guess, the legwork of the questions and stuff. So I'll be doing their meeting later today as well. So I'll be there to answer any of their questions. But I also followed up with an email with them about what we did and what we got from it, which I guess is our next agenda item. So I think they can reflect on some of our findings of how well it went. because I think the surveys that I think did well were like those parking surveys and other ones that the town, hired outside people to do that, somehow they got a lot of interest, but also those topics were maybe more front and center in people's minds. Because we only got 77 responses, and I think after I weed out duplicates, there may be under 70 or, closer to 60. So we'll have to see. But I kind of told them, set your expectations sort of like we did. We knew we weren't going to get, hundreds of people. So, that will go into what kind of questions they ask, because they don't want to try and ask questions that are, only reliant on getting a wide variety of people and number, to try and get statistics or something, because they're not going to get it in the end. So what kind of questions can they ask to get what they want with a limited number of people doing it?
Yeah, and it did seem, it appeared to me just listening in on their discussions that they're opting for more of the open-ended questions where survey takers can just write a narrative response, which is fine. There's certainly nothing wrong with that. It's just harder to aggregate the data when people are just writing in responses as opposed to, multiple choice. So in any event, I wish them the best of luck with all of that. And I have offered, our support and helped with that. And that continues to be the case. This wasn't on the agenda, but Nina and I had talked yesterday and have been in ongoing discussions about supporting the Sustainability Committee's effort to broadcast the new solar infrastructure project that's happening in town. Nina, I hung on as long as I could on the select board meeting last night. I just had to step away. So I didn't get to that part of the meeting. So I don't know if you wanted to just report back. I don't.
I'm the same with you, Connor. I had to, after 2 hours, I couldn't wait any longer, and I stepped away. So I was planning to watch the recording of it when it's available.
Okay.
I did stay on and I spoke up. I chimed in and said that I was aware of it. I was going to speak in support of the project anyways, but then it became clear that I needed to just speak for the communications committee and say that we would be happy to work with the energy committee and sustainability to craft some language around this, like we've done with all the other warrant articles. I was trying to make it clear that this isn't something special, that we remain unbiased in these summaries that we do. But yes, so I hung on.
Okay.
I think the premise behind it, though, was also to, at a broader picture, was to bring to light these communication needs that pop up around town, and that there's no plan around them, or, and I think that's where our committee can come into play. It was brought up during our sustainability meeting that, yes, there is this solar project and it needs to be broadcast out. And how does that happen? And, they were asking as a communication committee, what our plan was. So I think this goes in line with what we had planned as far as building out a communication plan. And maybe we use this project as it rolls out as a sort of testing ground for creating a broader plan for the whole town communications needs.
That'd be great. I think we'll probably want to establish some criteria around what things we take on, right? And how quickly we can pivot and broadcast those.
Yeah, I guess I was just thinking of more from a broader standpoint of like a plan, like building out a plan. And this is, so it's down and documented, and this is how you go about it. And this is, anything from identifying people on various committees who are going to be the lead and the contacts for communication. We're not going to go out there as a committee and get the content and get the information. We're going to rely on the content creators to present that to us, to, like the sustainability committee, for instance, to say, hey, we have this project coming up. We really need to get this out. How do we do that? What's the plan? And then they can look at the communication plan that's created and roll it out from there. So we're not going to be, my vision was that we weren't, as a committee, going to necessarily be hands-on for every project that needs to be rolled out and communicated across town.
Right.
We are going to create the plan on how they do that, how different groups and committees do that. I don't think it's and there's no way, also as being volunteers on a committee, to manage the communication plan for each and every activity that goes on in town, right? So,
right.
So, yeah.
Although we have, in the past on occasion been asked to help promote things, and Phil, I think this is great as part of this discussion. What does that mean for us, and what ways do we support that?
Yeah, I was just going to add, I think what you maybe were getting at, Nina, was kind of like using that as example as kind of like a case study for, a draft plan. Like, here's how we would approach it, and we wouldn't be the ones. You guys wouldn't be the ones doing it.
Right.
But, the town staff, people working together, and maybe the committees funneling information to, the sustainability, person in Dave Sharples, and he compiles it and sends it to me, and for the, but it's kind of going back to, these real life scenarios. How do those fit into a plan that is works for everybody?
Yeah, exactly.
Bob, what's your comfort level with granting access to the website for town employees, volunteer board members to go in and create kind of their own announcements, like from the back end, like creating those microsites that you showed us on the website, versus sending everything and kind of funneling it through you, and so you still have the primary access, if that makes sense.
Right now, most people have access. Committee members, I can say, it's very unlikely that's going to happen. Same with social media. We're trying to stay away from that because there's, more turnover, and, there's certain, I'd say policies that we as staff are binded to that maybe committee members are not. I think it's going to be staying like that, but any staff member could get access to post stuff as they do, and a lot of them have access. They just maybe don't use it, or there's certain people in each department who are responsible for that, and that's part of this plan that we were putting together, was kind of like mapping out, like, who are these people, so we know, to offer them training every once in a while, or have someone like me check in with them, like, hey, need any help with anything, or ideas about how to best do things. And that's when I'd be like, here's the plan that the communications committee put together. So they definitely have that access. And most committees actually have a staff person, like I am your, staff person with Andy, I think. So Conservation Commission, they have the natural resource planner, and many of the boards either have, the town inspector or the town planner. So those are the people who are supposed to funnel information to the people who would post. There kind of is like a network in place. It's just formalizing it with, the plan that we were kind of talking about. But, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Lindsay, did you want to unmute yourself?
I think I just stayed unmuted, and I think I'm good.
Okay. All right. Okay. I guess the reason I ask is I think in an ideal world, we would go through as part of the larger plan and create maybe a step-by-step user-friendly guide with screenshots, showing them, this is the first screen. Here's where you'd click. This is what you would do. Now, this is how you would generate that microsite, and where you put the content, and then, go ahead, and this is how you actually physically publish it on the website. This is our recommendation for how you would make the announcement somewhat prominent on the home screen of the town website, so that people can link to that microsite. And then just taking it through the full life cycle. There has to be a point at which, we can kind of deactivate that announcement. The announcement's just no longer relevant anymore. Where the solar panel project may be going on for quite some time. So we may be interested in keeping it up for longer, but once the solar panels are in place, once that project is done, I think one of the issues with our website is there's a wide, long history of kind of outdated announcements that are just sitting there that probably should be deleted. I think that's one of the things we discussed, Bob, when you showed us your presentation on the back end. Not lots and lots, but there are old announcements that just probably aren't relevant anymore. Okay, so I think that's definitely part of it. Bob, you had sent some materials, a draft of the communications plan, and then you had another document that you called infrastructure. Yeah, infrastructure and staff. And it looks like you went through, well, what you were trying to do is go through department by department and specify what their current plan is, like who does what. Looks like the most extensive or detailed is Department of Public Works. It actually looks like they have a pretty good plan in place, or at least they know, who's handling what.
Yeah, what I did is I reached out to, I think department heads is what I did. And then I reached out to some people who I knew did the things.
Okay.
I tried to take as much notes as I can, but I didn't hear from everybody. And this was kind of right before I went on vacation there. But yeah, Public Works has a really good plan. And that's where, part of what we do when we combine the plan is, see what departments are doing a good job and how can other ones replicate, what they do. And, I think, yeah, it's going to be, you guys already know how important the plan is going to be. Because for example, multiple people come to me like, hey, can we get, some sort of email sign up thing for notifications? And if we all are doing it separately, like all the different departments, like maybe that's not the best way to do it. So kind of looking at what works and how can we pull it all together, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. It's always a disaster when I try to share my screen. Do you have that document up, Bob? Can you share your screen just so we can see what we're talking?
Sure thing, yeah. And I don't know if it's just me, but your microphone, Connor, is kind of going in and out there. Let me... Alrighty, so this is just the really simple document. I just copied the departments that are listed on the town website, and I was kind of going through and what sort of things do they have that's either information or something public interfacing that and some of this stuff may be back end stuff that we still should identify, like maps online. I don't know too much about it. That's what people use for assessing purposes and other things. Who's supposed to update that? There's the web, like everyone has their website, but who does that? Building, economic development, you got Darren there and I'm helping him with all his stuff. Our TV stuff, which, this is obviously, I have our own like master document for TV, which we could just link to or something, but, finance, some of them aren't really public facing, so there's not really much finance stuff to put on the website. I'm not even sure what they have on there, really. Fire department, emergency health. So some of these we still need to hear back from.
Yeah, and there's can you hear me now?
It's still really kind of distorted. I can understand you, but it's hard.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what to get. Is there a troubleshooting for audio problems? Maybe I can log off and come back on.
You could try jumping off and back on again, and if that didn't work, you could maybe switch to telephone audio. But
okay, I'll do that. I'll try that right now. So just you can keep the conversation going.
I don't know if anyone else had any questions about this or suggestions on what to dig into. I think one issue for me and other staff, and also I guess for you guys, is until we start digging into this, there's a lot of things that, because the town departments are so like departmentalized, no pun intended, I guess, are, they do things that we're not aware of. You know, like I didn't know the police had some mobile app that, you know, you sign up for notifications and what other people are doing until we start asking those questions, like what are all the things you're doing? And
Bob, quick question. So this document is also, this is great, and I think this is a great jumping off point. Will this also go into, or will you have the time and resources to find out where all those additional apps live, or, you know, like the police department's app that you can sign up for alerts and things like that? Will that be identified on this document as well?
yeah, I mean, this is just a really like, this was for me to kind of start to compile stuff. I would hope that in our kind of plan, I guess, or whatever, there'd be some sort of, I don't know, index or wherever you want to put it. That's like a map of communication channels that are available, and, you know, potentially because, you know, it kind of mixes. There's like the tools we use, which would be in the plan, like what tools are available to everybody. But, you know, some sort of plan in here that's not necessarily tied to, like, in here you have a lot of people's names listed who do them, but, you know, the positions who do this thing is maybe more important for like who is responsible for getting this information or who works together to get this stuff out. So yeah, I think that would be somewhere in the plan, as, you know, a map of what is being done there.
Yeah, that would be a great idea.
Can you hear me now better? Oh, good. Okay. Give it the old log out and restart it. Okay.
90% of IT is, have you tried turning it on and off again?
Yeah. All right. Well, let me know if I dip out again. I'm just trying to think about the path forward. You know, how can we be supportive in your efforts, Bob? Because it seems like we know what we want, but I'm having difficulty visualizing the execution of this. And
so if I can try and pull up the draft communications plan, which again, if you guys saw it, it was kind of just a skeleton. I had put some stuff in there from initial discussions we had about the website, but for the most part, it was not very filled in. But I can kind of show you from this what I think the conversation could be going like, because we kind of outline, you know, what are the goals and objectives of the plan. You know, that's easy to pull together. You know, what do you guys want to get out of communications? Probably people knowing what's going on in town, and you know, town staff communicating effectively, yada yada. You know, this is where the chart map of communications network infrastructure, because you know, you can't do best practices until you know all the stuff you have and who are the gatekeepers. So who are the people like me who are the posters of information. So I'll be able to identify those people, because then, like you brought up, Nina, like sustainability, they want to get out this info about, hey, this, you know, big thing is being brought up at the meetings, you know, here's all the information about it. Who do they need to contact to get that info out? All that needs to be outlined, or else you run into those things where everyone wants to say something. But yeah, so then the communications workflow, that's like, you know, the way I see it is, what are, you know, 5 main types of ideas, let's call them, whether it's an event or a project or an ordinance, I don't know, random bits of information. What's the best way for those to be communicated? And it would be a list of like, use these tools in this way to do this idea. So like an event is posted on Facebook, on the website as an event, on the calendar, you know, LinkedIn latest news or something. I don't know, whatever we decide. Like, and that way they have just a checkbox to go down when they're doing stuff. And then, you know, we'd outline all the tools, you know, website, a policy on the website, if there is one, probably should be, you know, formalize the best practices and the tools available. That's where it's kind of like Connor mentioned, just screenshots of the different things you can do. Like, and you know, most people are probably going to want to do their own things with pages, but we can try to push them in the right direction of, I think, having kind of even a more standardized look. And, you know, what I would say for that is you have a landing page, simple summary, embedded pages. If any of you guys remember that from what we were talking about when we went through the website deep, because that way you can have like the most amount of info on one page, but still have it like look nice and make sense and stuff's not super buried. But it's just like best practices, simple things like name the page, you know, correctly, because people, when they search on Google, that's what is going to pop up. If your page is named something incorrect, you know, you're not going to get the results. So making sure that's, you know, things like that, tips basically. Doesn't have to be super detailed. Same, and then the way we did that with the website, where you guys all saw it, you gave feedback and stuff. I think what still needs to be done is looking at other towns, what you like, and maybe specifically with the website, and then maybe private business, like what do you guys see there that we could bring? And then we would formulate that policy, best practices, the tools available, and then we're just going to do the same thing with social media, with the TV channel, with the mobile app, with all the tools that we have. And then you kind of have a best practice thing for all of the different tools that we have, and hopefully that will be enough to kind of hand over to town staff to get going. So the way I see it going is we kind of dive deep into something, look at what works, what doesn't work, promote what works, maybe bring some stuff from the outside that we're not doing, and then just put that on paper and keep going. So, I mean, you can kind of see I started to do that here. You know, have a landing page, use embedded pages with buttons under the intro, you know, create concise sections under the sidebar, because we saw some pages look better than others. And these are, you know, features of a better looking page or a more functioning page. And then, you know, how to post various types of information using the right tools. So, you know, for each tool, there's like each type of information. How do you post that on the website? How do you post an event on Facebook? How do you, you know, all of those things.
Bob, I had a question about the sort of the low bar on this. If you have a department or a committee that tells you we have a vision, but we really don't have the tech savvy or the time, is there a tough love point at which you're like, hey, you must abide by these, like basically fly out of the nest? Is there a
I mean, I think with certain things, like there's certain departments where, yeah, maybe they don't have even the horsepower to do it themselves. And, you know, if it's something small, like the economic development page on the website, for example, is very limited, but it doesn't need to be, you know, some crazy thing, because there's already like small business resources on other websites. So we just link to those, and, you know, he doesn't manage those. I manage his page. If he just sends it to me to post. So some committees, if they didn't have a staff person who could post it, you know, I could post it for them. And, you know, the stuff that we're outlining here is nothing like, you know, maybe some pages it would take a bit more time to kind of reorganize it, but it's really light work to get this like nicely organized. It's more just making people aware, like, hey, you know, I know you think you have a lot of information on your page. Like when you ask somebody, oh, like, did that document get on the web page? And it's like, yeah, I uploaded it as a PDF and it's on the bottom of the page. And if you ask someone to go find it, like, good luck, they're never going to see it. So it's just letting them know, like, hey, you know, when you got this kind of thing, you should post it this way. So I think most people would be able to do it. And if they couldn't, then they could, you know, ask me for assistance or my staff or something like that. But it's not super heavy lifting to do some of these things. And I hope that's kind of what we focus on going forward with other tools. Like, sure, it'd be great to have, you know, daily information posted on the website and all that stuff, but it's about being, you know, realistic with our expectations to make it so it's not like a super heavy lifting where, you know, we need to hire a bunch of people to manage it. What can we do now with our staff to, you know, make a bigger impact, I guess.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think you're kind of getting at it there at the bottom. The records are permanent documents, but I was thinking, I'm remembering back to presentation I listened in on that Russ Dean had recommended. You probably were on it, Bob. It was about records retention and archiving. So basically, like, I don't know, maybe you weren't. Oh, it was pretty dry. I don't think I retained much from it. But there are pretty specific rules about, public documents and public statements that, the records need to be retained and archived for at least a certain amount of time. So we could maybe if you want to just add that in, we could have, some legal compliance guidelines for that.
Yeah. For sure. And that's kind of what we, under the different types of information, how should they be organized? What's the best practice and what's like the actual requirement of that? For example, like meetings, if they're going to be posted on the website, I believe it has to be posted at least 24 hours in advance or the meeting, can't happen. So an agenda has to be on there. So that's the type of thing that we would put on there, because maybe some people didn't know that already, or if somebody new comes in, they think they could just post it whenever. So I'll just add that little note in about that. But yeah, compliance, that would obviously be part of it. Same thing with social media and everything else, because, for example, if we use the solar array as an example, the compliance of, making sure we're not breaking the law with the way we talk about things as committees or town staff, because you can't really lobby for things. You can get the information out there, but we can't say like, come out and support this. So and vote yes on so-and-so on article, whatever. I'm not sure about all the rules about that, to be honest, but that's the type of thing we put on there, who can say this and who can't, and certain things. Those could be worked into documents, into kind of like the policy part of each of the documents.
Well, I could try to head that up. I work in regulatory compliance for the insurance industry, so it's not particularly spot on, but there's a lot of overlap there. I'm not an attorney, so I wouldn't want to be giving what could be perceived as legal advice, but I can do some of that research and pull materials together, and then we could think about the best way to give guidance without, or we could actually just run it through. I think the town has an attorney.
Yeah, and I think also, you could reach out to Russ maybe. I know, I believe the town is a member of the New Hampshire Municipal Association, the NHMA, so maybe they have some stuff already that you could kind of look into, because from what little I know, you'd think there's a lot of legislation about the internet and stuff, not really in the state of New Hampshire that I know of. Like some things, you don't even legally have to post a meeting on a website, I don't think. It just, I think what I mentioned was kind of more like a policy thing, but the agenda has to be posted outside physically 24 hours before or something like that. But, I'm not sure is the website a requirement yet for that. You'd think so in the modern age that it should be required to post stuff on the website, but even, minutes and agendas and all those things, I'm not sure if they actually legally have to be posted. But stuff like that, it'd be good to know what is actually the rules with these digital platforms that we're using, so that people can make sure they follow them.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. I think that's one of maybe many starting points. I'd be happy to reach out to Russ and kind of get the ball rolling on collecting that information. Okay.
Quick comment on the compliance issue too. Maybe we could have a section in there, and we don't want to delve too deep into it or make the document too huge so that people don't actually read it, but something about policy behind posting on social media as well. And again, not relevant to committee members necessarily, because they're not necessarily posting on a Facebook page, but it is my understanding that there are town people in town's office that have access to the town Facebook page, correct, Bob?
Yeah, there's several, like there's 3 people who manage and my staff as well, who manage the town Facebook page. And there's, I believe there's already a policy or there's another policy in the works as well for, specifically related to, that, what can and can't be posted, on official accounts or even on private accounts, but in official capacities.
Right. So maybe we just have a link to that documentation or something within this document.
And I'd have any ideas the committee has about those things, whether it's, stuff for committee members or town staff. It's a little harder to, I guess, implement those policies for committee members. But, there are certain policies probably already, you can't just go to a meeting and speak on behalf of a committee unless, you were supposed to do so and things like that. So I would assume the same sort of things apply online. You can't be posted in the community forum saying, hey, I'm the communications person. This is what the communications committee says, unless, you guys agreed to have that person do that sort of thing.
Well, there's lots of law enforcement has lots of policies. New Hampshire is pretty light on legislative online stuff, but there's lots of law enforcement guidelines we can follow, but basically you have to make it clear on whose behalf you're speaking. So yeah, you're not bound to on the first pass, but as far as liability goes, if you take liberties, it's a liability on the committee if we don't then, or the committee doesn't then address or disavow. So yeah. So anything like that, if you know maybe where those documents are, I can help chase them up or anything. Maybe there's certain things that we can, even though they're not required, if we like them, we can build them into, our bigger plan. I'll get those for you.
Cool.
That'd be great. Thanks, Darryl. Yeah, it's, important that people have their right as a private citizen to make, statements on issues. But yes, to kind of disclaim that, they're not speaking in an official capacity or speaking on behalf of a committee or anyone else when they're not authorized to do so. I think that's very, very important.
Yeah. And then, stuff when that's known, best practice come in too. Like a lot of people join a Facebook group from their personal profile to share work stuff, but you can join as the page. So that's like a thing where if you're aware of the tool or the way to do it, I try and post from Exeter TV to the forum, not from Bob Glowacki or whatever. So, it looks more official as well, looks better, things like that. So little things like that can help.
Yep. Great. Okay. So we do have a few concrete things.
Question though, can we, this is great in this document that's started. How do we move forward with this? How do we, we've all been in agreement that we're going to create this document and
exactly. That's where I think
group together. Can we?
That's what I think really needs to happen. We did that deep dive into the website, and each person gave me feedback and had their own feedback. I think we need to. I can start compiling that more and put it into kind of a, here's what we got on what the website should be and any fixes to the website. Because that kind of, in addition to this, like I'm identifying things that can just be fixed like right away that I'm going to do. So, I'll compile those things, but also what I think I was looking for the website was I think we sent out several times to you guys, like a list of other town websites. So what did you like from those sites that you would want to bring in terms of best practices? And then we just need if you guys all put together kind of, you don't have to write it like a formal draft, but if you just had notes on what you want included in that, I can compile all of that into this draft plan. And then we could just go through it at a meeting and, we like this, we don't like this, change this. And then we have websites, completed, or at least like the best practices part of it. I think we still need to look into the policy a bit, or compliance things, but same thing with the other tools. We just need to schedule time where we can do those one-on-one walkthroughs with me maybe, and just really dive deep into, all of the town pages, what do we like, what do we don't like? And, you guys all bring in your own experience and expertise in your own areas, and what do you, have to offer from that towards it. And then just once we compile all those notes, we can just draft it up and we have it written. Like I agree. We all know we got to do this. So now it's just, we have to sit down and actually start typing stuff out. And I think that website dive in was really helpful for me and for you guys. So I would suggest approaching it the same way with the other ones. Maybe the whole committee doesn't have to do each item. Maybe, 2 people pick social media, 2 people pick the mobile app, and, dive deep into those. What do you like? What do you don't like? And what do you know from your own work that works best and doesn't work? So, and then just type it all up and I'll put it together. So.
I think that's a good idea. Each one of us selecting an area that we can focus on, or pairing up and breaking it down like that. Especially, it's hard right now doing everything virtually. So I guess if we could organize something like that, and leave it to you, Connor, to organize us into more working sessions, I guess.
Yeah.
That makes sense to everyone.
Yeah. Yep. No, it does. We created a kind of a subcommittee to get the survey over the finish line. And we should probably continue to do that. I am just speaking for myself. I am off the grid on social media. I have been for a long time. Even when I was on it, I wasn't really an active participant. So that is certainly not in my wheelhouse. So I don't know if, anyone else, given, your professional backgrounds, even if you are kind of personally active on social media, you're probably better equipped. So I don't know if someone wants to, maybe we can try to form like a social media subcommittee, maybe form a website subcommittee. I don't know if people have professional backgrounds in, website design or content marketing kind of stuff.
I think if maybe offline, we just communicate to you and then state what section, or maybe Bob presents to us what different sections need focus.
Yeah, I could reach out to,
what's needed to create the overall communication plan for the town.
Yeah, I can reach out to Connor after this meeting and I'll draft up kind of the way, if you guys agree, the way I think to go about it is going through each tool. And then, while we're going through each tool, you can kind of talk about how the different departments use that and committees and stuff. But I'll have some prompts or questions that would kind of spur the discussion for what notes you would take on each tool. And then hopefully those notes would from those notes, like the answers to them and everything, we would have enough to put together some sort of draft, or at least identify what needs to be researched, like the policy issues, that Selectman Brown brought up with, bringing that stuff in, or so we can, I'll have some sort of plan, if you will, for attacking each tool. And then maybe you guys can respond to that email to Connor with individually, of course, saying like, I'd like to do these 2 things. And then I can just reach out to those individuals and schedule, over Zoom is real easy because we can share screens and go through, and I can even share screens with the mobile app on my phone through Zoom. So we can really go through that, and I can show you the back end and all that stuff. So there's some things specific tools that I don't even have access to, like the, PD's app or other things, but we can still talk about those issues and things that we have with that.
Right. Yeah, and it occurs to me that the stakeholders, the Exeter Police Stakeholders Committee may also want to weigh in on communications from the local police department. So maybe while we're on that, that could be part of their effort as well. Okay, so I have a kind of a hard stop at 10, but I probably should get off a few minutes before then. So I feel like we've got a really good tangible plan here. Bob, if you want to send me the kind of individual focus areas, I can shoot that off to everyone. And then if people want to come back with go ahead, Lindsay.
No, you finish just when you're done.
Oh yeah, no, I was just going to say, people let me know based on, where you feel comfortable, where you could contribute, and just let me know. And then we can get the kind of the ball rolling on all these different focus areas.
I was just going to add that if you're done with that, are you wrapped, Connor?
Yes.
That we should keep the what happens with the deliberative session in the town meeting on our radar. I know there's a lot up in the air about how that will be conducted, but that really is, I know things are shifting for us, but the bulk of our work has really been in summarizing those warrant articles. And so in years past, there's been a really small window. And when we have the finalized text of the warrant and when we need to summarize those, and it's meant that, we're taking 4 or 5 each to summarize, and that has felt pretty rushed. And so I know we don't know what it's going to look like this year, but maybe we continue to communicate through you, Connor, and just make sure one or a part of us via the other committees we're on are just keeping up with the select board meetings, that we're staying abreast of how that progresses and then how we can jump in and help.
When would the warrant articles be presented? Is there a deadline?
Brown might be able to fill us in a little bit. There was
so we're still considering deliberative session. We don't have authority to, so we can't definitively decide on anything. It's got to be at the moment, it's got to be in person based on Concord hasn't given us permission to do anything else. So it's some form of live event in March. So between here and March 9th, I think the date is, that's what we're moving towards for deliberative session. Before that point, there's a bond hearing. I think if there was some special initiative or some hearing we wanted to have beforehand, the select board will be drafting stuff for the ballot over the next 2 weeks, with 25th. So we meet on the 25th again. So I guess between here and there, we could put something up for a vote, like a non-binding or a non-financial ballot item.
Yeah, I think it's like at either that next meeting or the one right after that the select board kind of says this is the warrant, taking into consideration the budget committee stuff and all that. So if I find out anything, I can let Connor know. But yeah, I would agree, Lindsay. Those have been really good in the past, and I know it's kind of short notice, but maybe when we know about those, we could just have a quick meeting and divide them up. And the way I think we did it before is if someone could reach out preliminary to the newspaper, see if we can still do that again. That was nice. We kind of released them once a week leading up to there. Mm-hmm. And then I did the same thing when we released them there. I released them on the town website, our newsletter, and I think we even turned them into like a video. We tried to do interviews with people to get more information. So I think those are, really, that's one of the only times where I think we'll ask this committee to actually create some content, because I think it's good, and it's good to have your guys' eyes and words on it rather than the jargon that maybe town staff would put together.
Okay. So if I'm understanding correctly, there is a select board meeting on the 25th, and that is probably most likely when the warrants will be presented, and then we can take them and start divvying them up for summaries.
Yeah. There might be one more February 8th, but definitely in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it, Bob. If you hear anything, if any inside baseball that I don't know, just let me know, and we can start distributing those to get summarized as soon as possible. Thanks for bringing that up, Lindsay. I'll put that on the agenda item for the next meeting as well for us.
We may just have to call a quick meeting once the articles seem finalized. And if I remember too, I think, we could even start summarizing some of them before the deliberative session, because the text in a few, it was clear that the language wouldn't change, that for some of them that wasn't up for debate. And so,
yeah, like zoning articles, I believe, can't be amended and things like that. So,
exactly.
and if we happen to find out one of the formats was potentially online, it's probably not going to happen, but then they're, unlikely that there were even going to be amendments and stuff. So we could definitely prepare drafts beforehand.
Okay, great. That sounds great. Okay, excellent. Yeah, Bob, if you just want to follow up with an email to me about the different focus areas, I can send that to the group. You can all reply to me individually, letting me know when or what rather you'd like to take on. Great. Okay, I'm not sure what we should do for our next meeting. Or, I'm sorry, when it should be. Does anyone have a suggestion? Lindsay, you're saying we might have to pull a meeting together somewhat last minute, but should we just have something on the schedule regardless?
Should we tentatively say the 26th with the assumption that after I don't know how much.
That's 2 weeks from now, so that would be
text that's ready after the 25th. Bob, do you have any insight?
I'm not 100% sure, but the other thing is it would be nice to meet then anyways, because we didn't really get a chance to talk about the survey results. And then hopefully by then we can divvy up some of these things to start working on this plan. So either way, I think I'm unless you guys only want to do it once a month, I would do this next one just so we can keep the ball rolling on those two items in addition to the.
Right. I think this time of year might be required to do more than once a month. So I'm fine with 26th.
Is that okay for everybody? Martha's got a thumbs up. Nina's nodding. Bevan?
That works for me.
Okay, excellent. And Daryl, is that all right?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. And Bob, most importantly, does that work for you? All right, excellent. All right, well, I will, unless there's any other business questions, concerns from any of the committee members, I can adjourn. All right, excellent. So I will be putting together the agenda for our next meeting. I will send it over to Pam. I can send it out to the committee as well, but we can expect to meet again on the morning of Tuesday, January 26th at 9 a.m. Excellent. Well, everyone take care. It was so great